Hey, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here, and you're tuned in for more of my 2 cents. If you are new to the channel, then welcome. Thank you so much for coming over here. I hope you will enjoy your time on the channel. You'll click around, stick around, and join our 2 cent community because we would love to have you. If you are a returning 2 center, then hey, y'all, hey, thank you so much for tuning in today. I am so excited for another video. I am in front of the camera giving what it's supposed to give, honey. And as you can see on my shirt, it says perfectly imperfect. Now, this is from the Timu, okay? Now, I'm not a fashion girl, all right? I'm not one of the fashion girlies, but I will give y'all, you know, a little plug when I find some that I like. So I was like, let me try a little Timu, the t-shirt, see what it gives, you know, like if you're giving me t-shirts for $7 and $6, I want to see the quality. And it is giving. So check them out if I'm pretty sure the women got the app on their phone already, or you see the ads coming through your timeline harassing you. It's worth it for some of the things. So this is one of those things. And I like the message. I'm perfectly imperfect, which leads me to my 3 points that matter most before we start any discussion. Number one, you're not alone. Number two, you're not crazy. Number three, God, your creator, still loves you, and I do too. Boop, boop. Let's get into it. So today I am going to be reading an email from a viewer, from a subscriber of the channel. I love when you guys send me emails. I love when you all share your stories, ask, you know, me to cover certain topics, to give my opinion on certain things. It really helps with the flow of the channel. Because to be honest, you know, in the earlier part of me creating this platform and this channel, I share my stories and my experiences and my 2 cents on specific instances that have happened in my church or my religious journey when I was a Christian. And it's crazy because it's like, how much longer can you just continue to rant and complain about the same things? Like, you have to be able to evolve and to grow and to share more. And I think that's oftentimes what happens when you have channels like mine that will talk about a specific topic that kind of, you know, catapults and takes off and has, you know, great success and views and things like that. But then those people end up dwindling off and they don't really continue to provide consistent content that goes beyond those initial points of like hardship or hurt, um, or tests or trials or things like that. And I feel like me as an individual, I have not taken a break from growing. I have not taken a break from evolving as an individual and just learning from the things that I didn't like in Christianity and in religion. And now I'm able to evolve into a different kind of person as far as spirituality goes, just an individual myself, and really allowing myself to have layers and to have seasons that I'm willing to share and to show, like, what are the next steps after church? What are the next steps after organized religion? What are the next steps after deconstruction? And so just allow me to be proof of what that looks like and how you can be stable and how you can still have a foundation and you can have values and you can grow and you can learn and you can still be who you were called to be and do what you were meant to do without having that attachment and that bondage, if you will, on your life. So yeah, that's what I do over here. And we're gonna get into this email. So if you ever want to send an email to me, you can send that to mytwocentmatters with an S at gmail.com. That's mytwocentmatters at gmail.com. I'll see it, I'll read it, and I'll share right here on my platform. And I will always keep you anonymous because I chose YouTube, you didn't. So there's no need for me to put you out there like that, okay? All right, so let's get into this email. It says, hello, I came across your channel some time ago. I too just recently left a church that had toxic leadership. Not surprised. It was a woman pastor and her husband wasn't at the ministry with her. Now this is tea, okay? When your wife is a pastor and you as the husband don't even attend the church yourself, I don't see how sis got any members. I don't understand. The members shouldn't be present. If the husband ain't there, the members shouldn't be there because he know what y'all probably know too, but y'all keep going. Let's keep going with the email. My husband and I endured a lot of emotional abuse, control, and manipulation. Because my husband has strong discernment, he later became a problem because he helped open my eyes to the truth. I was being molded to be like her. Thank God for my husband opening my eyes. She controlled everything and has and have some of her children who attend as well. Everyone had a title. Imagine the whole church having titles. LOL. I thought I knew her, but I didn't. The church has more women than men, and many hurt and wounded are drawn there. I refuse to be a part of any place that doesn't respect my husband or tries to place me over him spiritually. There's so much more to it, yet I don't want to write a book about it. LOL. How did you detoxify yourself from this when you came out? Sometimes I feel guilty or bad for leaving, even though it was what God said to do. He has already shown us the outcome in a dream. I feel for those who are blind. I just pray for them. For now, we don't plan to join another church. We are still being healed. What advice would you give? Thank you. Please keep me anonymous. All right, this is a good one. Okay, I love to read it. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the body of the email. Then I'm gonna get into your questions and give my 2 cents, right? And I'm gonna give my 2 cents on what you said at the top too, because that's just what I do. Okay, so let's get the brightness all the way up because sis was struggling. Um, you mentioned how her husband didn't attend the church, and as I stated earlier, that to me would have been a red flag if he didn't have another ministry where they were like doing different campuses or different arms of ministry at different locations. I would want to know, why is he not interested in being under her leadership or being in ministry with her as a co-pastor or even just a regular lay member? Child, why you don't want to be here? Why you didn't renew your membership? If you signed up for life with her, why you don't want to do ministry with her? That would be key for me. The next thing you stated was that your husband and you endured a lot of emotional abuse, control, and manipulation. But then you went on to say your husband has strong discernment. Now, if y'all will click back, switch back, flip through them videos from a couple of weeks ago where I told y'all that men have an innate ability to read and cipher through bullshit. It is a beautiful skill. It is a beautiful skill that I believe they were created with and given. And it is a bullish detector and meter that literally fires off as soon as someone or something comes into their presence that's not legit, that's not real, or that's really not, giving what it purports to give. And honestly, I know that in the world and society that we live in today, it's like really big business to be on the feminist side of things. Like, women know too. Women don't have to just be subservient to men and whatever. Listen, there are some things that I truly believe each of us in our, respective roles and gender assignments or whatever, however you want to look at it, we have certain innate abilities that have been given to us. Like for women, we know the nurturing side, we know the emotional side, the, compassionate side. That is something that just is. It just is. It's there. It's for us. We have it, and we operate in it so beautifully, so softly, so effortlessly. That is a part of us. Men, on the other hand, you all do what you do. Y'all know what you know. Your husbands, your spouses, your brothers, your uncles, your cousins, your besties, whatever a male role may be in your life. They just have certain things that they can go off and do. One thing that I think we all know as adults, like, this ain't no secret, that the belief is there that men can engage intimately with multiple partners and not gain any emotional connection or attachment. It could just be an act. It can be a sexual act and they can remove themselves, right? Women, however, be like, oh, that's my husband, that's my man, thank you to my man and my man. Like, they immediately go to fairy tales, unicorns, the marriage, happily ever after, all of that, because that's just who we are. And by nature, we're able to do those things. Some can be detached from the act. Some want to be connected for life from the act. And in church, we have seen it where men are the ones who are missing in action. Men be straight up MIA from church because they don't subscribe to the control, the manipulation, the games. It's like I see you for who you are and for what you're doing. You may be able to play with these other people. You can play Monopoly, you can play Uno, but you can't play me. They will stay home. They will sit out. They will let their wife go and do whatever she wants to do, be a part of whatever little club, committee, all of that on her own. but don't try to get me to do it. Don't try to change me. Don't try to control me. Don't try to recruit me. I'll let you do you. Now respect me and let me stay home, barbecue, cook, wash my car, watch football. I ain't coming up against you and what you believe. Don't come for me and what I'm not going for. And so to see that your husband discernment kicked in, I'm surprised that your husband even wanted to sit under her as a leader and a pastor without her husband being present. Because again, that's a red flag that most men catch immediately. And your husband becoming a problem doesn't surprise me either. It doesn't surprise me because I know firsthand what that's like. It was in my situation at church, when I was at church, I was the one that had the discernment and could tell that my pastor was a problem. I was able to read every red flag for what it was, and I acted accordingly. I was the one sounding the alarm, blowing the whistle. I was the one calling the meetings and asking the questions and not letting him slide with certain comments that would come back to me from other members that he had made about me and my husband. I was the one doing the things, but I didn't want that to ever, like come between me and my husband because my husband was like low-key brainwashed at the time. He wasn't seeing what I was seeing in our pastor. He wasn't noticing the things that I was noticing, even though he was experiencing them and he didn't like it. It wasn't causing him to have a disconnect from the environment. He still wanted to be in the environment. And so I had to allow time. I had to allow calling God to do his perfect work and reveal it to him because I didn't want there to become tension and there to become resentment and anger towards me for pulling him away from something he still believed in. So I think the beauty in your story is that you were able to trust your husband, that you weren't so far gone, even though she was trying to make you a little, protege, a little mini me. You didn't allow that to disconnect you in the covenant that you had with your husband. You still followed his lead. You still allowed that wisdom that flowed from him, from your covering, your true covering, right? Because watch my video about coverings, y'all. Your true, real covering was not your pastor. It was not this woman. It wasn't her. It was your husband. And you allowed that covering and that ability to detect, discern, and to disconnect. You allowed that to lead you into something that would be safer instead of for you being subjected to more of this abuse and mistreatment and manipulation and control. You allowed his strength and his purpose and his wisdom to guide you out of it. And I think sometimes a lot of people don't get that. It doesn't even have to be your husband. It could be your parent. It could be your friend. It could be yourself. Sometimes that will just see the alarms, like see the red flags, and you'll be guided out of that. You'll be like ushered out of it so effortlessly. And it's like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I was willing to listen, that I was willing to, let go. I wasn't trying to hold on to that because it would be for your demise. So kudos to your husband for that. And kudos to you for trusting in him. For trusting in him. I don't think oftentimes a lot of people realize that when they are in church, when they're in toxic church environments, you are kind of conditioned socially and emotionally to see everybody else as a problem and only your leader as the solution. Like everything, you're taught to not listen to outside voices. You're taught not to listen to your own intuition and your own heart. You're literally taught to see yourself and other voices as evil, as demonic. And then it's like, but the only voice that actually is truthful and won't lead me astray is yours? I'm lying to myself, but you would never lie to me? Confusion, I am. Sorry, I cannot sign up for this. And so it's those kind of things that oftentimes is what the deconstruction journey is about. Trying to remove those extra voices that were never yours. You were taught to not trust yourself. You were taught to feel as if though you weren't right, as if though you don't know you, as if though God can't speak to you or through you. You were taught to have a liaison in your own spiritual relationship with your creator that you chose. You chose salvation. But it was like, why would I choose salvation on my own rights and, stand and then get in here and get a representative to speak to God for me and then deliver messages to me from God? Why can't I too have my own relationship with my own creator? If I chose to serve God, why can't I then choose to get messages from God? Why can't I then choose to have downloads and conversations with God? Which is another video that will be coming up shortly about that book. Because the people are out here salty, angry, and zesty about conversations with God. Shout out to Neil Donald Walsh. People don't really want you to have your own connection because then that takes them out of the position of power in your life. You didn't allow that to happen fully. And your husband was able to kind of like get you out of a trance state. Like you were kind of in a trance, but you were able to be pulled out of it because you weren't that far, that deep into it, which I think is actually what people in church don't like about you having other relationships and other influences that you trust outside of their own. Because if I am not the only one telling you what really is true, what really is right, what really is the will of God, you may question me. So no, you don't need to have these friends, and you don't need to be hanging with these people, and you don't need to be watching that and listening to that. And they don't want that because now they feel like they're competing for your attention. They're vying for your belief, and they can't have that. So you saying that there were more women in church than men, and many who were hurt and wounded were drawn to the ministry. That is how majority of church environments are formed. From people being broken, people being bruised, people feeling abandoned, people not feeling like they belong. They become um not the ash on my hands. I bet I get that in the next video. I believe from my own experiences, and I've talked about this before with trauma bonds and toxic connections, you have people who don't belong and fit in certain settings in their personal life outside of church, and they find church, and that becomes the place that they have like a title, as you mentioned, everybody in church having. They belong, they have a position, people act excited to see them, they get loved by them in the beginning. Everybody's talking about their gift and their purpose and how God can use them to build the kingdom. But then you get in there and you're isolated, you're mistreated. The same storyline that has followed you in your life outside of church then becomes a part of your storyline in church. You just meet new people to do that to you. You just meet new people to treat you that way. You just meet new people who isolate you. You just meet new people who use you and take advantage of you. That's all it ends up becoming. A new trauma bond, a new trauma connection. And it's so unfortunate because I think of the amount of potential that is held captive and that is in bondage at church. That is, to me, meant to be set free and released. Like the freedom should be given. Go operate and do what you've been called to do. I see this in you. Let me put you in a position here to draw more people here to get that healing and deliverance in this way, for you to help them walk out of that, to walk through that journey. If you have experience in that area, why would I not want you to be able to share that journey from a healed place? Let me help you get healed and then create a whole space for you to help other people get healing too. That's not what happens at church. They want you to still relate to that hurt. They want you to still worship out of that pain. They still want you to connect out of that resentment and that bitterness. Because the longer you're there, the more you're always fighting to get away from it. You're never able to focus on what's really going on around you. When you're whole and you're healed, it is difficult for you to exist in a space that is broken. I'm going to say this again. When you are whole and you are healed, it is difficult for you to exist in a space that is broken. Liquid cannot exist in a broken vase. You can't pour liquid out of a broken vase because it's spilling out anyway. A broken vase cannot contain the fullness of water. It cannot contain the fullness of a beverage. It's going to leak out. It's broken. You'll never see the vase get full because it is leaking. It's not a full vessel. What's the song that they sing at church? Welcome into this place. Welcome into this broken vessel, for you desire to abide in the presence of your people. So we lift our hands as we lift our hearts, as we offer up this praise unto your name. That's what they sing at church, y'all. They talk about being broken vessels. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm perfectly imperfect, but I got the facts for that ass. That's literally what you sing at church, or at least what I grew up singing in church. We accepted being broken vessels. We accepted being wounded. We accepted being hurt. We accepted being damaged. But guess what? We never became fully whole people. Because once you get healed, once you are whole, you move on. Even a bird with a broken wing may not be able to fly for but a little while. But once they are healed and whole, what do? They go back to soaring. They go back to flying. They go back to higher heights. They don't stay in the nest because, oh, I got comfortable here while I was broken. I'm going to stick around. No, you've gained your ability to fly again. You've gained your ability to do what you were meant to do. Why are you still here? Why are some of y'all still in church? Because y'all still broken. You still hurt. You're still wounded. And nobody there is trying to actually help you get well. Because if you do, they won't have control over you anymore. But okay, what do I know? I'm just out here healing, whole, delivered, and moving forward. That's all. That's all I am. That's all I do for a living. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense that there were only broken and wounded people drawn, because that is okay. Y'all say the church is a hospital. I'll give y'all that. But who are doing the operations? Who are doing the surgeries? It cannot be that you, someone that is not well or healed, certified or skilled to operate on me, let alone, you're not even doing it on yourself. But you're going to come over here and cut on me? You're going to come over here and try to fix something in me? Negative. You better find you that operations game on aisle 12 of Target, because you're not going to play on the inside of me and then expect me to come out with what? Gauzes and band-aids and things just still sticking up out of me? It doesn't make sense. You can't heal other people when you're not healed. You can't restore other people when you're not restored. You don't have it. You don't have the training. You don't have the resources. You don't even have the desire to do it for yourself. So it becomes a cycle of hurt people, hurting people, of cut people, bleeding on other people, and cutting other people, and then complaining about people who don't want to be cut on or bled on. When people walk away from these environments, you're going to be mad at me because I don't want to be a part of this mayhem? Okay, it's ridiculous. So you're asking, how did I detoxify myself from this when I came out? First of all, it took time. About 30 days. It took about 30 days for me to not be in a church environment. The thing about it was that my husband and I made an agreement, because after I decided to stop going to church, my husband had not decided yet. I think it took my husband maybe 2 weeks after me to leave. He still went. And I was like, well, I'm going to start visiting this other church. It was a church called Cross Point in Tupelo, Mississippi, where we were at the time. And I was like, I'm going to start going to Cross Point. And he was like, listen, I support you not going to church. I don't have a problem with it, but wait before you go to another church. And his reason wasn't because I needed to heal. His reason was because he didn't want other people to see me attending another church and question me, or, feel as if though him and I weren't together. Because the city we lived in at the time was very small. We'd already had like a little bit of a controversial beginning in our marriage anyway, by how we broke off from my uncle's church due to things that had happened there before we even got married. Check out the video on that, about my cousin betraying me. And he just didn't want that narrative or that thought to be out there about us not being together, or, being separated or whatever. And so as a covering, I respected that. I was like, cool, I'll chill at the crib. But I felt so bad chilling at the crib. Like, I was like, I didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't even want to enjoy my Sundays because I felt guilt. And I know people say that was the conviction of the Holy Spirit on your heart. That's not what it was. That's not what it was. It was the fear, and it was the doubt, and it was the punishment, and it was the control that I had been under for over 24 years that I felt bad about, that I felt shame. It wasn't that I thought God was upset with me. I knew that if I told my mother, if I told some family members or friends that I wasn't in church during Sundays, that they were going to judge me. I didn't want my mama to know I hadn't gone to church today, so I was lying about what I had did that day. That's why I say the bondage is not about Satan or God. It's about man. It's the bondage to man. So me detoxifying from that mindset and that energy and that environment, I had to remove myself from it completely. Like not even try to listen to praise and worship music to make me still feel like I was connected. I had to go cold turkey, no church culture. Because I was in the process of restoring myself from what I had believed or thought or even been given as far as doctrine went. I had to literally reset, and it hurt, and I was confused. But then once I became free and I started experiencing comfort, I started feeling less pressure and stress. Like, I ain't got to jump about the bed, turn my swag on, take a look in the mirror, say, what's up? Hey, yay, I'm getting money. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That was clearly, a little bit of Soldier Boy. I didn't have to hop up out the bed on Sunday and get out the outfits and, put on a full face or get ready to impress or be on time for praise and worship or for Sunday school. I didn't have those routine schedules, to abide by. And I started feeling like, this is what it feels like when you don't go to church. I ain't a bad person during the week. I ain't hurting nobody. I ain't mistreating nobody. I ain't got to worry about going to church and not wanting to see nobody. I started realizing that there was freedom. I still had freedom and liberties to exercise what I wanted. And that's when I was able to truly make the disconnect. I didn't try to start plugging in that space and that time with videos or watching televangelists or listening to certain things to make me still feel connected. I let it all go. And then I started rebuilding on a foundation that was healthy. I started building on a foundation that I understood. I started building on a foundation that actually served me, not anybody else. I've used the analogy before about your mother or your father or your grandparents giving you a car that they got in 1952. And it ain't one of them nice Chevys, Impalas, or like a restored classic car. I mean, like one of the throwback rusted junts that wasn't even new when they got it in the 50s and the 60s. And now we're in 2023 and they're trying to give you a car and tell you it's going to get you from point A to point B. No, it's not. That may have worked for you when you got it, but that no longer applies to the roads we have today, the distances that we drive today, the capacity of what I'm going to put in it and I need it to carry for me today. It doesn't serve me now. Thank you, but I'm good. I'm going to go find what works for me today. Present tense. And I think that that's what a lot of people don't understand. Deconstruction is not about being disrespectful to other people's beliefs. It's about saying you can have this back and I'm going to go find what actually is for me because I was given this. This was forced upon me. This wasn't free. I had to pay for this with my peace. I had to pay for this with my joy. I had to sacrifice some love for this. Take it back. I ain't got no receipt. So yeah, the detoxification, the detoxifying process was disconnecting. You said sometimes I feel guilty or bad for leaving, even though it was what God said to do. And that's what I'm talking about. You received your confirmation from the being that actually is supposed to be what and who and how you're operating based off of their wisdom, knowledge, insight, and downloads, and you're still like feeling bad about a human. You got the clearance for takeoff from your creator, but you're still connected to the human element of that environment. And that is the bondage. And that's what I don't think people in church even be understanding when they be talking about idolatry and God's gonna smite your idols. Some of y'all pastors finna get smoten, smitted, smited. According to y'all now. Y'all think y'all talking about celebrities and all these other people getting knocked off their square. Some of y'all going down. Okay. Just saying. You said something that was very, very key. You said that you feel bad for those who are blind. I do too. I used to feel like in the beginning, oh, I don't care. Like if they don't get it, that's on them. They just gonna have to live their life, whatever. I used to feel like, no, don't nobody else ever get this but me. I'm good. But then my heart changed about that. Since then, I've started feeling as if though, depending on the situation, I don't feel like this all day long. I don't be thinking about other people's faith walk. But there are some people I talk to that are still heavily in church. And I just be thinking to myself sometimes when they're talking about things that are so ridiculous. Pastors' appreciations and how much money they are, being asked to give, or shut-ins that they're still doing, or fasting for a week, or consecrating themselves, or going to visiting churches to support their pastor, and like just having all of these demands on their time and on their lives. I just be like, dang, I feel for them, because they're not even enjoying their salvation. There's no way you thought you were choosing salvation, but you signed up for slavery. That's literally how I feel. And I'm not even trying to be facetious or rude. I'm just being honest. It blows my mind sometimes that there are well able-bodied, supposedly well-minded people who are being subjected to this kind of control and manipulation because it's religious. It's a religious connection. And people who would never let this stuff fly at their job or in their family or in their relationships, they let it happen on a religious level because somebody said it was God's will. And it's sad. So I too feel sorry for those who are blind and demonize every form of truth and every form of freedom that you present to them. They fight it. They fight it. And that's why for me, I liken religion, specifically Christianity, because that's what I only have experienced. I liken it to thinking about the stories that we've heard, of trying to free, people back in the slave days, and how everybody didn't want to go. Everybody didn't want to do it. They were afraid. They were more afraid of being free than they were of staying in bondage. And it reminds me of a quote that I heard like at the beginning of my spiritual awakening, where someone said, "You're so free, you can choose bondage." And that's what I think about as it relates to church and Christianity. People are so afraid of their freedom that they continue to stay in bondage. They know that it doesn't feel good. They know that it doesn't serve them. They know they don't enjoy it, but they won't let it go because they actually don't know what's coming after that. They don't know what the detoxifying process would be. They don't know what deconstruction actually is or will look like for them. So they hold on to the bondage. That's familiar. That's low key safe. And then the rest of us are just out here looking crazy, huh? Crazy free, crazy happy, crazy peaceful. It's unfortunate, but it's real. So, lastly, you said for now we don't plan to join another church. We are still being healed. What advice would you give? Continue to pursue your whole healing, deliverance journey. Get that. Get that first. Get that now. Hold on to it forever. Never exchange your freedom for anybody else's bondage. Ever again. Never again. If it requires you to diminish or to dial back or to downplay who you are, what you want, or what you believe, or what makes you feel good, don't do it. And I mean this on every level. I think that sometimes people think when you go through your deconstruction journey or you support deconstruction, you're saying no just to church. No, 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 no. The foundation of the indoctrination is built on you becoming susceptible to anyone controlling you, not just at church, but in any area of your life. It's like you can't choose which, like, okay, I'm going to remove this ability for you to defend yourself against predators, right? No, no, no. Not just church predators, but any predator. You've removed the element for me to do that. Think about declawing a cat. You don't just declaw a cat so they don't scratch your furniture or rip up your carpet. You've declawed them, and now they're not able to protect themselves against anyone or anything, even when they need to. That's what deconstruction is. Doing away with all of the things that made you incapable of defending yourself and critically thinking for your own good. So this applies to everything in life. My advice, because this was my practice and what I still hold on to this day, if I have to become someone else to exist in your space, you will not have access to me. I'm not shifting, I'm not changing, I'm not rearranging anything about who I am to accommodate you, because I did that before and it almost cost me everything. Just from a spiritual level, I did that before. I'm not doing it anymore. I question everything and I believe nothing until I can prove it for myself. I question everything, I believe nothing unless I can prove it for myself. If it doesn't resonate, if I don't understand it, if it's not logical, I don't accept it as my truth or my reality. If I can actually debunk it, like just with common sense, I don't accept it as my truth. And I got a lot of videos coming up about things that I do not understand about Christianity that does not make sense to me at all. So what some people consider to be the infallible truth, I am out here like, no, no, no. It's giving holes. There are holes. There's some holes in this house. There's some holes in this house. I'm saying holes with an L. But it'd be some holes in the house of the Lord too. Anyway, so yeah, that's my take. That's my advice. Again, that's my 2 cents. I try to always give my opinion and my feedback based off of my own experiences and not telling you what to do, but just how I have navigated this space, how I continue to navigate the space. One thing I've also learned is that if you are true to what you set out to do as far as deconstruction and separating from some of these environments, religious wise, people will respect you more if you're consistent. If you're back and forth, going, not going, quoting scriptures, doing this, not doing that, renouncing this and denouncing that, but then picking this up and saying this instead, people won't take you seriously. They'll just feel like you're what they call a lukewarm Christian. I'm not a lukewarm Christian because I told you I'm not doing none of it. I'm not here for none of it. I got a problem with all of it. We cannot be confused. Nobody is trying to recruit me. Nobody is saying God's going to bring you back. Shut your mouth. Give me your lips. Don't put that on me. I'm going to pray to God, touch your heart. Shut up. Don't pray that. That's witchcraft. It's going against the will that I have for myself. Don't pray for me. Don't do that. I don't like that. So that's my stance. And I also know that when my husband and I took our stance, nobody questioned us because we were serious. We didn't discuss it. We weren't asking people what they thought. We weren't asking people for scriptures to support us on what we decided. We said what it was, and then we acted accordingly for what it is. So not allowing that element of your life to be an open door policy for people to come in and out and share what they think and influence you back into it. No means no. Every day of the week. Full sentence, full stop. Okay. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully I answered your question. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. If you guys have any emails, stories you want to share, feedback you want me to give, topics you would like me to cover, go ahead and send it to me through email at mytwocentmatters with an S @gmail.com, and I would gladly cover it for you. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, comment below. We would love to add you to our 2 cents crew. Until next time, I will catch y'all in the next video. Stay safe, be kind, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.